It had better be important.
Yes, sir. The American agent has infiltrated the X-Lab facility.
Welcome back to the Combat Footage Show. I know it's Thursday. We're not supposed to be here, but we are, so you know the rules, and so do I. Hit the like button, drop a comment in the chat, let me know where you are. Here we go. All my stuff is messed up. All right, where you at? There's the chat. English Oblast. Where the hell's that? New Hampshire, what's going on? Welcome in from New Hampshire.
Incoming.
Hello from the Finger Lakes. What's up? Happy birthday. It's not my birthday. Welcome in from Sydney, Australia. How are you? You're in your bed? Denmark, Tucson, Arizona. What's up? Alaska Oblast. Florida. Goodness. Everybody's here. You guys look great too. So let's talk about why we're here on Thursday. Yeah, so tomorrow, we're normally live Monday and Friday when I don't have to reschedule a stream. But tomorrow I have dad stuff to do during the day. So that would typically, what that would end up doing is taking me away from the preparation of the stream. So there's a likelihood I might still be live tomorrow, just over on one of my personal channels, more than likely. The channel that will be following up right after this. But we're here on Thursday, so that's something that I'm going to try to do when I don't have other things, other obligations to attend to on Thursdays. If I can't be here on a Monday or a Friday, we'll try to hit a Tuesday or a Thursday. That being said, we got a lot to cover tonight. There's a lot of footage that we didn't get a chance to cover on Monday, and that's because Monday was our yearly recap of all the footage that we saw across the year and the top 25 most watched videos on the app and website. So if you haven't had a chance to go and look at that, it's some gnarly stuff. We kind of just went straight through it. You'll see perspectives from all over conflict and war, self-defense. I think there was some law enforcement footage in there. Tonight, though, that was a little bit loud, and I'm sorry. Tonight, though, we're going to see footage from Israel. We're going to start with footage from Israel. We'll be talking a little bit about Israel political leaders. We'll be talking about beachfront properties and their potential resale value, if any. But then we're also going to cover a little bit from Ukraine and why I think it wouldn't be a good idea to drive four-wheelers in Ukraine. But we'll get there when we get there. I do have an admin note for the night, though. That admin note is that the merch launch from Funker 530 is pretty imminent. It is being finalized right now, and when it does come, it's going to be over on Savage Tacticians' website. I am a pretty big fan of Savage Tacticians. I wear their hat just about every stream. You can see me wearing, their shirts all the time. They're awesome dudes over there. So keep an eye out for that. It's going to start with shirts, and then we're going to have some pretty awesome button-ups that are coming out as well, and some hats as well. So let's get started for the night, though. Because there's a quite a date range that we want to cover. Relatively recently, though. Let's just go to the map first. Let's hit the map. Here's the map. So here we are looking at Gaza. We're going to be talking a lot about Lebanon to start. And really leading off, specifically Beirut. Up here towards this, I want to say the southern area of Beirut. But we'll head over to Google Maps. We'll just stick here. Israel killed a prominent Hamas leader since the last time we were live. This guy. Now, why does this guy matter? Well, he was the deputy chairman of Hamas's political bureau, and he was also reportedly suspected to be, believed to be, the de facto leader of Hamas in the West Bank. there is misinformation, disinformation that floats around, effectively saying that Hamas doesn't have anybody in the West Bank. Well, that's weird because Hamas has claimed attacks that have happened in the West Bank. We've seen them. We've looked here on the show at their statements. We're going to watch some footage of both the aftermath of that strike and, you know, some lesser context-heavy footage of the actual strike itself. Here is that strike. Coming up for you guys now. This is almost as bad as the red Dorito. This big green thing. Now, a couple other notes about this guy. First of all, I didn't even mention his name. Saleh Arouri. He's got a history. He spent a lot of time in Turkey, and he made his way over to Lebanon when Israel and Turkey were trying to stabilize relations. That was supposedly one of Israel's demands, is that Turkey expel Arouri. But he was also wanted by the U.S. There was a $5 million bounty on this dude's head. If you look hard enough, and it's not really difficult, you can just, basically search, like on Twitter, his name. You can find actual photos of him after this airstrike. Let's take a look at a little bit closer video immediately following the airstrike, though. Now, 6 Hamas operatives, fighters, terrorists, were also up for you some more aftermath footage immediately following the strike. Here you are. So again, Saleh Arouri was placed on the terror watch list in September of 2015 and removed on January 2nd of 2024. But let's move on. We've got more stuff to talk about in Lebanon. The reaction from both Hezbollah, from Hamas, was exactly how you'd think. Declaration of, decrying the strike. You'll see plenty of narratives on social media with pro-Hamas accounts claiming that, Israel is just striking political figures now. This dude was absolutely a militant leader. 100%. But let's head back to the map because we've got more stuff to cover specific to Lebanon and the Lebanese Hezbollah. A series of strikes all through here. We're only going to cover about 3 or 4 of them. But the first, we'll head over to Google Earth, and I'll give you some coordinates for that. I didn't have Google Earth pulled up. Stand by. There it is. Easy. Bing bong. Talk amongst yourselves. The first that we're going to watch took place here. This past week's been rife with statements and strongly worded letters, including a strongly worded letter from our government to the Houthis, which I didn't really have lined up to talk about, but you can only tell them that's the last time so many times. I'm just saying. Here you are. Strike against Lebanese Hezbollah. Stop the flag cheerleading, bro. We aren't teenagers. I will wave that flag until my last day. And I don't give a shit if you don't like that. So, moving on to the next set of strikes that we have, though. Now, I have a series of locations for this. First one is here. All of these locations are going to be covered in this next video. And then here. And then here. And I understand that the context to this might not be super helpful, just given the filters that I have on right now. But if you did want to do a little bit more deep dive research, that's why I put all of this stuff in the stream description for you. Here comes that footage now. Multiple strikes against Lebanese Hezbollah positions. Hello, Ronnie. Who's winning the war today? Anybody not participating or near it? Oh, I'm sorry. That's my fault then, Abu Hajar. I get a little defensive about my flag. I'll take that L, and I'll own that. Let's move forward, though. This was released actually just today, so I don't have a great geolocation for it. Big boom coming up. But another strike against Lebanese Hezbollah. No, I'm not, Steven. Happy birthday. It's not my birthday. Nope, nope, nope. Double Tap, thank you for the $10. Reporting in just a little late. Hope all is well. All is always well. Some of the days suck, but, you know, grand scheme, it's always forward. It's all going to be good. So let's head into northern Israel. Now, we normally don't have a whole lot of footage to cover from northern Israel. Something I haven't covered quite a bit is the continuous rocket launches that have taken place from Gaza into Israel. Well, on New Year's, since we were technically here after New Year's, but on New Year's, let me go back, rewind. Let me reel that line in for a second. We were here after New Year's, but since we covered the top 25 videos, we haven't covered any of the more recent footage that took place between the 29th and now. So, on New Year's, residents in Tel Aviv were on the receiving end of this. Now, I show you this because I actually originally found the footage of civilians in Tel Aviv. And then after a little bit more research, I was able to find this launch from Hamas. More of those rocket salvos that go in a general direction. Iron Dome, we're going to see it here in just a second. Now those, as I mentioned, we're headed towards Tel Aviv, Israel. God. We're going to see the Iron Dome intercepting at least some of those. Here.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Holy shit, that's...
Language.
Oh my God. Oh my God, זה גם שם, זה גם שם. במרחק. יכול להיות שזה גם צפונה מאיתנו?
Probably gonna get a copyright strike for that. All right, now let's bring it up. So here's the reason I wanted to show that to you. If we go back to the map, that's going to really bring things to fruition, right? Or help you understand why I wanted to show that. If we were to go down into Gaza and to try to give you a better understanding of, you know, the envelopment of Gaza City. You can't see that. Stand by. Here you go. Although the IDF has more or less enveloped Gaza City, there are still definitively areas where Hamas's presence is heavy, where they have some level of freedom of maneuver. They're still able to fire salvo after salvo of rockets into Israel, right? You can see that envelopment, which has been, you know, what are we at, 3 months now on the IDF's, since October 7th. I shouldn't say on the IDF's entry. What did that take place? The IDF entered Gaza 3 or 4 weeks after October 7th. But the range on those rockets isn't very far either, right? So they would have been fired, you know, presumably from one of these areas, maybe even just down here. Not certain. Hamas still very active. Another area where they're very active, like I talked about earlier, is in the West Bank. We're going to be headed to the village of Seir. I believe it's pronounced Seir. It could be Sir, but here we are. But this is where we're headed. To the West Bank. Seir. I assume it's Seir. Like, I don't know. But we have a very short clip here that's reported to show the IDF taking contact in the West Bank with, reportedly, at least one casualty. The disposition of that casualty is unknown. I haven't seen a longer version of this, though. You can see impacts on the vehicles. Look right up here at the top. That actually might be outgoing. That is outgoing, because that's a head right there. So these are outgoing rounds from the IDF. Now, I did find this follow-up video that to me just seems a little bit too connected to not be correlated. This also takes place in the same time frame somewhere near the village of Seir. And it appears to be the IDF with similar vehicles conducting a casualty evacuation of somebody. Here you are. I can't validate that this is from the same engagement. It is or was reported to be the same location, though. Okay, let's bring it up. Now we're not leaving the West Bank just yet. We're headed to the Fawar refugee camp. Here on the map, which I want to say is close to Hebron. Yeah, just to the south there. This isn't an exact location that we're looking at here. What I did is I just set the geo coordinates to the, quote, refugee camp. But what you're going to see here is more contextual than anything, because it was being shared pretty widely, for searches like the West Bank on social media. This is one of the first videos that popped up. We're going to talk about this one for a second. This is the IDF inside what appears to be a gas station. I don't know if they're detaining the attendant. I don't know what's going on. I mean, they're certainly detaining the attendant, but I don't know why. Here you are. Now, I do want to share the context that this is being shared with, though. The context this is being shared with is under the narrative of IDF brutality. So keep that in mind. I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it is. Let's just watch the footage, though. All right, let's pause here for a second. Let's talk about what he just did. So, you could call that kicking. I think by definition that would make sense. Forceful spreading him might be a little bit more appropriate. I don't know if spreading is the right word to use there. He's being a little bit aggressive about it, but I mean, ultimately that is one of the things that the military will do. Anybody that's done any level of, POW type training, being deliberate and forceful about what you are doing when detaining somebody is critical, right? Not only does it keep whoever you're detaining on, it keeps them, I don't want to say on their toes. I'm kind of, for lack of a better phrase, it gives you the initiative, right? Now, up until this point, to be honest with you, had no issues with this. From here, it gets a little bit disrespectful. He stepped on the guy and kept walking. I mean, I get it. I understand. I get it. I am telling you from a training perspective, from an application perspective, I do not categorize this under brutality, right? If it was brutality, and if me personally felt it was overly brutal, I would say that. Right, we've covered similar things from the IDF before. For those in the chat that are so biased, calling it like it is. I have seen infinitely worse. That doesn't necessarily mean that wasn't pretty disrespectful, but it could have been much worse. Let's just put it that way. That's it for that one, though. Hamas is very active, though, in the West Bank. Reported to be in the West Bank is this, what is it, D9 bulldozer on the receiving end of an IED. Looks like maybe it's a really small charge of some kind, relatively speaking. Doesn't look like it's shaped at all, though. But I mean, it's right there. It was just kind of loud. I think that's all that was accomplished here. It was loud. It does catch maybe something on fire on the back there. Front end loader, yeah. One more time there. Try and scrub it a little bit. It doesn't look like there's any kind of a shape charge, again. It does take some damage on the back there, though. And that's everything that I had for you guys from the West Bank. We're headed now into Gaza, in southern Israel, where we're actually going to be looking at what is technically archival footage. But every so often, there's a bit of footage that provides so much additional insight or clarity on something that we want to cover it, because ultimately we are archivists. I'm not a news anchor, and we're not a news show, right? We are video archivists. Now, what you're going to see here is a two-perspective video. On one perspective, you're going to see the IDF defending a house. In the other, you're going to see Hamas engaging that house. We did not do the edit on this, but we felt that it was very helpful in understanding some of the clipped footage that we've seen from both the IDF and Hamas. You'll notice scenes in this that we've actually covered in other footage, other official releases. This is like a longer version of that that's been mashed together to provide you this two-perspective video on a gunfight in Beit Hanun. Let's head to the map and show you at least where Beit Hanun is for those that don't recall. Here. So this would have taken place around November. Somewhere in Beit Hanun. Video is coming up for you now. So this is the IDF moving to that location right now. This is Hamas looking at the IDF. I just want to say discretion advised, specific to the audio on this one here in a little bit.
Allahu Akbar!
פיקד, הרגל שלי, הרגל, אני לא יודע. אני לא יכול לעמוד! אני לא יכול, לוקחים רגל! אני חייב! לך לרגליים! אני עומד למות, אחי!
בוא, אחד איתי לפינוי, אתם תלכו.
יש עוד שתי פצועים למעלה, שמים לנו פחות, נגמרו לנו. עלו עוד מסקר לאוויר, עדיין יורים עלינו. אי אפשר לפנות אותם.
חבר'ה, אין עוד פצועים. עוד אחד. בואו. אין. תשאיר ככה. עצום. בוא נוריד אותה ו... רגע, היד שלי כואבת. אז שב, תשב על זה, תוציא עוד רגע. שנייה רגע.
אבק, על העשן, שני תורן כאן תורים.
All right, so let me give you one additional piece of context for that video. All of the footage that you saw from a Hamas perspective was taken off of Hamas operatives, militants, whatever you want to call them, terrorists, that the IDF killed in that engagement. Right? I saw a couple comments in the chat that were, a little bit mushy, but just to help you understand, Hamas is absolutely not winning. They are absolutely inflicting casualties. Now, in the information space, that's where things start to get really interesting. There is a difficulty for an overwhelming amount of the masses to differentiate between Palestine and Hamas. Under many circumstances, Palestine is not Hamas, but we here on this show have reviewed footage of unarmed Palestinians accompanying Hamas into Israel to loot homes in kibbutz, to aid in Hamas taking captives on their initial invasion on October 7th, and taking things a step further. There was a question specific to, has Israel made any progress? Well, let's go back to the map, because we're about to move on the map down to Khan Yunis anyway. Anywhere that's light blue is ground inside of Gaza that the IDF has taken since their incursion. Anywhere that's this darker color is claimed IDF. This blue area, and we're looking at the Institute for the Study of Wars map, this has been validated through multi-source reporting. For those that are not familiar with multi-source reporting, it means that there is more than one source that can validate that the IDF is in those positions, rather than taking one video or one report and using that as, some level of gospel or truth. Anyway, this is the current state of the IDF in their envelopment of Gaza City. But we're going to be headed to Khan Yunis. The footage that we just watched, and this is a great segue, from Beit Hanun, was the Givati Brigade. Now we are going to watch the Givati Brigade, which is the 84th Infantry Regiment, actively engaged down here in Khan Yunis, or near Khan Yunis. I don't have a great geolocation for this, but it was reported by IDF sources, by official IDF accounts, that this was in Khan Yunis. Here you are.
Look. Got it.
All right. Now more, and this could be Givati. I'm not 100% certain on who exactly this is, but this is more helmet camera footage released by the IDF from Khan Yunis. Now, another. This I can validate is both the 84th, so Givati, and the 7th Brigades. More. Bloop. Bloop. All right, let's bring it up. I saw an interesting question in the chat that actually is a very good question, and that was, are they using 5.56 ammo from the U.S.? Well, you can actually buy quite a bit of like IWI ammo here in the States. So Israel does manufacture their own 5.56. Now, is that saying that the U.S. hasn't provided ammo from an aid perspective? No, not necessarily. But Israel does produce a lot of their own 5.56, and you can buy quite a bit of it here in the States. Just a heads up. I think I have some of it, actually. I bought a bulk. I did some bulk ammo purchasing a while back, and I'm pretty sure a portion of that is from IWI. We've got quite a bit more footage here. This is our general section. I don't have a great location for this stuff, but here is a little bit more helmet camera footage from somewhere in Gaza. Now, the reported location for this was Khirbet Aza. I couldn't find that in Gaza, though. Let's bring that back up. We're going to do some boat stuff. A couple things on the coast here. This was released by the IDF and is reported to be the IDF taking action against a team of Hamas that was, quote, planting charges on the coast. What exactly that means, I'm not 100% certain. But we will be watching a boat level a building here. Here you are. One more time. All right, Let's bring it up. Now, also from the coast, and I don't know where exactly this took place, but see the title. We're going to be taking a look at what is reported to be a beachfront property that's owned or operated or by Hamas. And we'll be talking a little bit about its resale value. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to, something that these demo videos provide from a context perspective is the demo charge, right? I'm not an EOD guy, so the terminology for that, you know, but seeing what is presumably the rough equivalent of like det cord or something come all the way up and then ignite the place charges is always interesting context. I mean, it could very well just be det cord. You know, I could be being an idiot right now. But some more demo. So this is IDF demo of more of the tunnel systems. Now, I can't be 100% certain about this, so I'm just giving you my understanding and context that I have. But I believe we have actually already seen the above ground portion of this demo. Now, when the IDF released this, they're actually releasing it with footage of the IDF and placing charges inside of the tunnels. And then we get to see it again from the top level, from the top down at least, the detonation of these tunnels and what it looks like from the outside compared to the placement of charges underneath. I don't know what's going on with these. All right, let's bring it up. So the last video I have for Israel specifically, this is, again, specific to Israel because we have our whole Ukraine section, which is quite long tonight. This is video that I believe released the day after our last stream. So it's got a little bit of time behind it since technically, I shouldn't say the day after our last stream because our last stream was just 2 days ago. But again, the last stream that we did was the top 25 most watched videos. So the last stream prior to that. Now, this one was another one of those that was shared really devoid of context. Only a portion of the video was shared, which I'm sure you'll be able to guess when we look at it. But what you're going to see here is a Hamas militant running through some alleyways. I'm not going to tell you what he's got with him, or you'll be able to see it clearly in the video. But he is targeted by some form of indirect fire here. I don't know if this is one of those laser-guided mortar systems that the IDF has. I can't be certain what munition it was that he gets hit with. But discretion advised, he does get hit. Here you are. Okay, so now that you're watching the video, I will tell you he's carrying a plate carrier in some form of a weapon with a sling on it. There's that plate carrier there. Doesn't look like it has plates in it, though. Discretion's advised. Something to note is it appears as though he took some form of fragmentation, either primary or secondary. And the difference, from a terminology perspective, between, and I've talked about this before, primary and secondary fragmentation is, primary fragmentation is built into the munition itself. Think of a frag grenade's shell that is purposefully designed to fragment and send things around and send things out from the explosion, otherwise known as shrapnel. Secondary fragmentation is anything that can be kicked up by the explosive or concussive force. Rock, wood, bone. It appears as though he got hit with something in the back there. Mortar round? Possibly. Possibly. It was, you know, it'd be a 1 in a million mortar shot, like at least with standard mortars. If it was something laser guided, there's a laser guided mortar system that I'm drawing a blank on that the IDF operates that is very effective, very accurate. Where's the weapon? Underneath of him. The link for this one's in the stream description. See, there's that, and there is that blood spot, excuse me, words are hard, on his back there, on his lower back. Now, this is the portion that was shared. This is it. This made its way around, you know, a lot of accounts. But the context that wasn't shared was him picking up that weapon, that slung weapon of whatever kind, and the plate carrier. You could see him holding it there. And of course, the context that this was shared is Palestinian civilian hit by explosion or, you know, whatever munition they were aligning it against. But he has expired at that point. Actually, let's go back to that. So you see again that plate carrier there. All right. Need to pause for the support and thank you guys for it. KI, thank you very much for the $5. With all the shit going down in the world, it's important to celebrate the good things like today being Ronnie's birthday. It's not my birthday. Thank you for the $5. My birthday will be next September. That's when that will be. And thank you for the $5. Jonathan, thank you for the $5. Combat footage of the Bradley. We're going to see some more of that tonight. I never want to be on the receiving end of a Bushmaster with those rounds. And Ronnie, welcome to Costco. I love you. Thank you for the 5, Jonathan. Double Tap, thank you for the 10. I don't know how I missed that one. That was quite a bit ago. It's about 40 minutes ago. Reporting in just a little late. It's all good. Thanks for being here. Please do me a favor. Tap on the like button. We appreciate you very much. Drop a comment, even if you don't agree with the things I'm saying. That's okay. It's all right. But there's a difference between discourse and being a dickhead on the internet, right? So if there are mods, since we're streaming on a non-standard day, it might be a little bit of the Wild West in the chat. That's okay, because I am happy to slap you in the pee-pee and send you on your way if you're being an asshole in the chat. Not saying anybody's doing that, just giving you a fair warning. We're moving into our Ukraine section, though. So let's pull up the deep state map. And we're going to begin. We're going to begin in Zaporizhia. Map's coming up for you. We'll be seeing some footage from across Ukraine tonight. Everything from up near Sinkivka. We've got a new perspective on a on an ambush. I shouldn't say ambush, excuse me, on a mechanized assault that we have already watched, but this provides additional clarity. It's a much higher resolution video than we've seen here so far. We're going to see footage from Avdiivka tonight, from Kurdyumivka as an eventuality, and we will see footage from, where else? Novomikhailovka. Yep. So we've got quite a bit to get through tonight. But first, we're going to be down here. Now, I want to kind of orient you guys to this map because the colors have changed since we've continuously covered the war in Ukraine. What you're looking at with the lines here is you're looking at fortifications that Russia has set up and still mans, right? Some of these fortifications have now been overtaken by Ukraine, and you'll see that they are no longer really reflected in the Ukrainian-held areas. But the yellow areas, the Deep State map describes that as a moat. So the yellow line here, Deep State describes as a moat. If I understand what they are describing correctly, that would be more akin to a tank ditch. A tank ditch is going to be a lot like a trench, except it's going to be quite a bit wider. And when it is wider like that, that means that the tank can't really ford that or go across it easily. So it kind of falls into it. We've seen footage of Ukrainians sending a remotely operated MTLB, I want to say it was, and it kind of just drives up and falls down into the tank ditch. So that's, I believe, what they're getting at with the, quote, moat. The blue line are dragon's teeth. So these are those little triangle bastards that are in, multiple rows, staggered. They do exactly what it sounds like. They stop vehicles, some vehicles, concrete, if you will. The red are trenches. So you're seeing trenches with the red lines there. Those are the fortifications and the layout of those. Historically, Deep State has had these just all one color. Right, I think it's really helpful to understand the defense in depth that Russia has put in place across the forward line of troops. So just to orient you to that map, obviously anywhere that's red is going to be Russian-controlled or held areas. Anywhere that's green are Ukrainian-controlled or held areas. So we're starting here in Robotin. Let's head over to Google Earth, though, because I have an exact location for this next couple videos. Stand by, I closed the Google Earth tab. This takes place here. Now, discretion's advised on this one. I wanna note some proximity to Robotin there. Right, so if you kind of commit this spot to memory, it's going to be right along the forward line here. So I want to say maybe right there. My biggest challenge is Deep State doesn't do a great job identifying the exact location. Right, it'll take you to a general area, but that's why I like to use Google Earth. But discretion's advised on this one. What you're going to see are Russian infantry that have taken a trench, and they begin to receive indirect from Ukraine. It's about a 3-minute video, but it shows them establishing the position, taking indirect, taking multiple casualties, and then having to withdraw from the position. Here you are. I've got the sound turned off because there's music in the background. I see all that support coming across, guys. I'll be jumping in on that as soon as we're done with this video. And thank you so much for it. But I'm going to hang out in the chat here for a little bit. And there's that indirect that's coming in. And once that stuff's dialed in, you really have no other option than to unass that spot. Now that second round there, that second impact, that one's the casualty inflictor. Within meters of the first, yep. All right. Let's bring it back up. I see a question there that I want to answer. Are these drones 1080p? Actually, a lot of them are, yes. What ends up happening, though, is they get uploaded and downloaded and uploaded and downloaded and compressed and transcoded and all kinds of nerd stuff until eventually maybe we find it. By that time, it has been washed by so many different platforms, Telegram, Twitter, Telegram again, Twitter again, and then Twitter again, and then Twitter again, that it ends up, you know, a significantly lower quality. Now, our writing team, myself included, we are actively on Telegram. Telegram is the easiest and fastest way to get a lot of this stuff as close to the source as possible. A lot of these drones have a very high resolution capability. But again, sometimes by the time we get it, it's been washed so much. Now, if you think back to Monday's stream, if you were here for Monday's stream, some of these drones, when we catch it from its close to its original source, have very high definition and fidelity. The footage that will always come to mind that is extremely clear was the Ukrainian medic, which we watched on Monday, and his attempts to save his comrades outside of his Bradley. Right, extreme high definition there of a nightmare of a situation. I need to check in on the support, though, because you guys have just been kind of going wild, and thank you so much for it. David, thank you for the $20. Keep on keeping on. Just keep swimming. Thank you very much for the 20, sir. D-Bag, thank you for $50. That's a lot of dollars. I could tell by your face how much you love the happy birthday comments. Happy 2024, though. Happy 2024 to you. Thanks as always for what you do. Is there a way to donate to y'all so YouTube gets nothing? I hate them. Thanks again, sir. Yes, there absolutely is. You can become a Funker 530 premium member. 100% of that goes to the team. Yeah. It's $5. It removes all ads on Funker 530 for you, so you get to watch everything on Funker 530 without ads. Funker530.com/pro. will get you there, and it's basically one of the only things that we have available for you to donate, quote, to us directly, right? Again, 100% of that comes back to us, and the way that we try to give back for that generosity is removing all ads from the platform. We also have a couple of premium-only discount codes. One of them is in there already, but I'm working on getting us a couple more, just to try to give back to you some more for that. And we thank you for it. The next, John, thank you for the $20. $20 for a I got my PP slapped by Funker 530 t-shirt. How did I know some of y'all were gonna? Thank you for the 20. I should have known better. And that's on me. That's on me. Brian, Official Entertainment, thank you for the $2. Love what you do, Ronnie. Keep up the good work. Thank you. I am one small part of a larger team. Dwayne, thank you for the $1.47. It's your birthday every live stream. No, it's not. We're going to move on, though. We are staying near Robotine. Robotina. But we're moving to here. So let's go. Oops. I screwed that up. So let me show you where we were. Hello? Please do the zoomy anything. There we go. Zoom anything. So we were here to the west, or I would say, actually, yeah, it's perfectly west of Robotine. Robotine. But we're moving over near Verbova. Here. Got some Bradley footage from this southern axis. Most of the Bradley footage that we've been seeing has come from Avdiivka. And we're gonna just play this one. And I'm going to describe what's happening as it's on screen. Coming up for you now. You're seeing a Russian BMP right now. That Russian BMP was just hit by a TOW missile. TOW being one of the capabilities of the Bradley. The Bradley's now going to open up on that with 25 millimeter. Look at the infantry in and around the vehicle. So this is now 25 millimeter impacting that Bradley. The drone is now dropping grenades on that infantry around the vehicle. So those impacts, that first impact again, something that we actually don't see a lot of, right? We're starting to see a lot of the 25 millimeter Bushmaster, but we're not seeing a lot of the TOW, right? We know it's being used because in packages that the United States continues to send, they continue to send more TOW missiles. But that initial hit is presumed to be a TOW. And then that 25 millimeter Bushmaster opens up. They dismounted quickly. Now, from a loadout perspective, one of our team members was an LAV commander. From a loadout perspective, and he's provided a whole lot of context and write-ups on, and Cam might have actually published this one. Let me look and see. He did. So Cam published this one. I'm going to give you guys the direct link to this. Anytime there's any kind of mechanized footage, when Cam covers that, there's just so much value because this is what he did for the Marines. From a loadout perspective, I want to say there's somewhere north of 200 rounds of high explosive incendiary trace that is included in a standard loadout, and then around 60, 70 rounds of armor piercing, just to help you understand the breakout of different ammunition types that are on board the Bradley. But then you also have the TOWs, right? I want to say it's a dual launcher on the top of it. But I do recommend anytime we do mechanized assaults and the breakout of those, and Cam publishes it, I would recommend reading that. A lot of insight there. We're going to move to Novomikhailovka. Discretion's advised on this one. I would say that Russia is preparing some level of an assault, some level of an offensive action on Novomykhailovka. We're also going to go there here in Deep State. Come on. Why you know? Stand by. Let's go there. No, that's way too deep. It's over here. This one. Now, we're going to see a series of videos from here in Novomykhailovka. The first is going to be Ukrainians. Ukrainians still have some level of freedom of maneuver, but they are making their way. There are two, I want to say, making their way down one of these streets, this one specifically, wherein they are hit by an FPV drone. We're also going to see a follow-up FPV drone that takes place, I think, up here. But then we're going to see Russia setting conditions for an eventual offensive, at least I would believe so, further out here, where this area has been pretty heavily mined by Ukraine. Now, in a lot of circumstances, people will see footage of Russia hitting mines, and they'll say, look, Russia's hitting their own mines. Not always. Ukraine is actively employing anti-tank mines, as they should, from a defensive posture perspective. So Ukraine has pretty heavily mined the areas that they are, trying to defend. Here is that first bit of footage. These are Ukrainians being hit by an FPV drone. Discretion is advised. All right, let's come back up because I believe I have another one, with another location, like I mentioned, this time targeting a vehicle. So that strike took place here. This one took place there. It was a little further than I thought it was. But this time it's going to be targeting a vehicle. Once again, discretion advised. Almost had the wrong one copied. Coming up for you now. We don't normally cover a lot of FPV or drone-dropped grenades, things along those lines. But given the context of the next video, I thought it important to include some footage of what Ukrainians are currently dealing with, really across the front line. Freedom of maneuver. Just because the forward line of troops is 2 kilometers forward. That novelty of drones and FPV drones that should continue to get talked about really moves offensive capabilities miles beyond where your closest troops are. This context, though, speaking of remotely controlled vehicles, we're going to move quickly to here. Just outside of Novomykhailovka, where Russia continues to employ vehicle-borne IEDs. Specifically, we're going to see an MTLB that has been loaded down with a bunch of explosives, a bunch being a very technical term, and I don't have a whole lot of time to explain what exactly that means, but it's loaded down with a bunch of explosives, and there is a presumption that Russia is using that to demine areas. Coming up now. There's that NTLB right there. Big boom ahead. One more time. Wasn't there a FAB and a UR-77 charge in this? Possibly. Not certain. All right, let's bring it up. Support once again, and thank you guys for it. Want to pause as often as possible to thank you. Thank you for the $10. Mission your mom. Hey brother, happy New Year. Happy New Year to you and to everybody in the chat as well. Thank you guys for being here. Is it just me, or is the Patriot system absolutely killing it on the battlefield? There's a couple thoughts that I have with that. First and foremost, yes, the Patriot is kind of performing above and beyond, I think, a lot of people's expectations. Ukrainians, if I understand correctly, though, have also employed some custom-tooled software that has taken it a step beyond the capabilities that it had when it was originally delivered. I'm happy to be corrected on that, but I recall reading about that specifically. Now, although a lot of people will say that this doesn't happen, Kinzhals have been shot down, regularly by Patriots, which was not believed to be possible. There's a lot going around about Kinzhals right now, and potentially falling into the Dnipro, and we're not covering a whole lot of that stuff. It gets into some really technical math that people did. I mean, people took like pixels and came up with air speeds, and very smart people, right? We do have that footage documented on the website, but I would say from a capabilities perspective, the Patriot has been wildly effective. What the challenge is keeping it fed, right? So thank you very much for the $10. McMarty, thank you for the $10. I'm a lover, not a fighter. Okay, good. Yeah, get after it, man. I'm into that. D-Rock, thank you for the 20. Hey, Ronnie, keep up the good work. More map sound effects, please. I don't even do it on purpose. My brain does it. I'm a simpleton and like sound effects. Anyway. Will there be a tactical butt pad with the release of the Funker merch? No, there won't. Let's move on, though. We're headed towards Avdiivka. More Bradley stuff. I don't have a geolocation for this, but I'll show you Avdiivka quickly on the map. Here we are. Now, one of these videos we've already watched. So the video we're going to watch next is a mashup. Current video mashed up with a video that we've already seen. You're going to recognize it immediately. One, there's going to be snow on the ground, and it's going to flip-flop back and forth between the two. The one we've already seen took place in this northern area up here, possibly near Stepova, but if I recall correctly, it was closer to about down here. All right. But there is some new footage here for us to take a look at of the Bradley engaging with its 25 millimeter Bushmaster. Here you are. 47th Brigade. And I do actually have a geolocation for this, and I don't know why I didn't record it. I know exactly where this takes place. Stand by and I'll show you that. This is up near Stepova, this footage specifically. I lied to you. That geolocation is for the next one. Just kidding. It still might be Stepova, but the initial report, all that accompanied it was quote Avdiivka direction. Which, if you see people from a translation perspective, region or area, or I think it's region, ends up in Ukrainian ends up translating to direction. So if you see like native English speakers saying direction, I don't know, make fun of them or something, because it just means region or area. Here, though, is this next bit of footage that we're going to see. Let me pull that up really quick. Yeah. I don't think we reviewed this one, but I wanted to talk about it again. And the reason if we did review it. Bear with me, because I wanted to talk about it again, and I'm going to show you why here on the map. So let's get Google Earth over to where we want to go. This is going to be the target location, I believe. We're going to head up towards Stepova. No, this is the Bradley location. So the Bradley you guys are going to see is here. Stepova is this little small town area. We have seen the Bradley firing at Russians out here. Right? We've seen the Bradley firing at Russian positions here. Now we're seeing the Bradley here firing at Russian positions there. I think you understand where I'm going with that. Russia, although it has been costly from both an equipment and from a personnel perspective, does continue to at least advance, whether or not once they do achieve that location that we can geolocate, they have to withdraw or are killed. They continue to advance an inch forward. Here is that footage. So you have Stepova here, right? Or what used to be Stepova. You've got the Bradley, this little pixel right here is the Bradley. This might be the infamous white Bradley. And it's engaging this tree line here. Arctic Bradley? No, it's a tan colored, like flat dark earth painted Bradley that we talked about, I want to say last Friday, maybe last Monday. It made its way around Russian telegrams because, and I do believe that is the white Bradley, because they were calling it white, and the Russian telegrams were wondering why it has yet to be destroyed. So the name White Bradley is one that was given to it by pro-Russian telegrams. But it is a tan color. Now this ammunition would be HEIT, high explosive incendiary trace. That's why you can see the traces there. There's a big budget movie made about the Bradley's crazy, the Pentagon Wars. Yeah, I think I love that movie, first of all. And I think the Bradley's performance thus far, from both a survivability perspective, from an engagement perspective, has kind of exceeded the expectations that a lot of folks that haven't spent a lot of time in Bradley's had. And a lot of that's largely based off the Pentagon Wars, to be honest with you. Let's move on, though. This footage, we're still in Avdiivka. We are winding down, though. We've got about 5-6 more videos. Still near Avdiivka, I should say. We're going to move to here. So this is just to the southeast of Stepova, where we have... and this is just one geolocation. There's also some activity in this mashup footage that we're going to watch that took place a little bit down here. Maybe even further. But it's effectively a mashup of, Russia continuing to pressure Avdiivka, hitting mines that Ukraine has emplaced, being engaged with artillery, etc. Defense in depth. Here you are. This first strike, though, that you're going to see 4 vehicles. That's the geolocation of that we just looked at on the map. These are 4 Russian vehicles that were moving to assault that area. Seeing Russian infantry being engaged by a drone here. Some indirect fire at the very end there. All right. We're going to move to Kurdiumivka quickly for a single video. And the only reason I wanted to show this one is I got something to talk about with respect to wounded versus being afforded the protections of Geneva. You're going to see a four-wheeler being used by Russians in a Kazivac role. Stand by. Let's go to the map. Show you where. So Kurdiumivka here. We're already oriented north. On this road specifically. This is a Russian four-wheeler being used, again, for casualty evacuation. Well, it's going to get hit by an FPV drone. We've seen footage of casualty evacs being hit by Ukrainians. Ukrainians being hit by, conducting casualty evac, being hit by Russians. And under a lot of circumstances, it's war crime. Well, just being wounded does not make you less of a combatant. It does not. If you are being transported in some form of an ambulance with clear markings, the Red Cross, etc., targeting that specifically would provide you protections. But just being wounded does not make you less of a combatant. Let's watch the footage. No, I also kind of, not to discuss something here that, how do I put this? That's a 1 in a million drop to me. The capabilities that we're seeing of drone operators with respect to being able to, land shots like this is terrifying. That four-wheeler's moving, and I mean moving, and that drop absolutely nails these guys, right? We've seen plenty of footage of some really wild accuracy drops. This one kind of blew my mind. All right. We're headed up to Kremina. First, though, the support, and thank you guys very much for it. Enif Bayu Dui Bramantio. I think I nailed that. Thank you for the 894. I know it said 140,000. I don't know what IDRs are, but thank you very much for the 140,000, which equates to 894 on my side. And thank you very much for that. Keep up the good work, Funker team. The app's been great for interesting conversations with my buddies. Good, man. Yeah. That's what we can hope that it's used for, is for you to take a look at it and then discuss it with people and say, hey, here's an interesting piece of footage that I saw with some context about what war looks like. What do you think about this? So thank you very much for that. John, thank you for the $2.99. Yes, enjoy the trip to Costco. Welcome to Costco. I love you. The Mad Scotsman, thank you for the 627. Don't spend it all in one place, Ronald. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for 627. John, thank you for the 1776. Hell yeah. Thanks, Ron and crew. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you. Also, thanks to all fighting the long war on terror. Mad Scotsman for the 1255 before that. How was your new year, lad? And congrats on the wee one. Thank you. Thank you. She's awesome. She's crying in the background. I don't know if you guys have been able to hear that. And then D-Rock, thanks again for that 20. Let's move on to the next video, though. We've got a pretty hectic firefight coming up here near Crimea. This is a Ukrainian filmed perspective.
Двері відкриваються тільки в одну сторону, нахуй.
Тихо не чує. Прийом, передаю форму. Граната, назад.
Він там справа був, братан.
Граната!
Яка граната?
Граната!
Блядь.
Did you see it? Did you see it? So if you thought they were engaging nothing. Let's try and find it here. Right there. That's a grenade.
Граната!
Блядь.
And that's gonna actually break their momentum. So they actually start to begin to withdraw a few feet. I don't know how far they withdraw from that, but that was 2 grenades that just came out of that little fighting position that they were engaging there. You know, the first one they ducked here, which fell a little short. The second just barely rolled right outside. I'm trying to find it again. Just barely rolled right outside of their fighting position. Let's just watch it back this way.
Справа був, братан.
Граната!
Яка граната?
There's that grenade. Just landed just outside of that trench. All right, let's bring it up. Now, I have technically 3 more videos for you. This one, we've already covered this fight. But I mentioned when we started the stream tonight that we were going to take a second look at an assault that took place. Now, specifically, this is going to be one portion of multiple assaults that Russia has mounted in Sinkivka. 2 of the major areas that Russia is mounting, you know, a really heavy offensive effort at the moment are Sinkivka, which is a lead up to Kupiansk in the north, as well as Avdiivka, right? Now, we've already seen one perspective of this, but what we have here is some higher resolution video, and you'll recognize it out of the gate, those of you that were here for it, that provides additional clarity on capabilities that were being used to defend the area, everything from mines to what appears to be some form of a vehicle firing. We'll see tracer fire. We'll see de-facto being used here. It provides that additional clarity. So this is Sinkivka and a Russian mechanized assault. Not going to play that music, though. Something to note, you know, that T-Series tank has a mine roller on the front of it. See it? Found the mine. A failed mechanized assault. Yes. You see those dismounts here in the trees. Another T-Series tank gets taken out there. See tracer fire coming across. So in the other perspective that we had of this, we weren't able to really see, based on the quality, any of this tracer fire. There's DPICM landing now. Dual purpose improved conventional munition or cluster munitions. We could barely make out some of these dismounts. There's quite a bit more than I saw. I don't know what that says. Somebody feel free to translate that in the chat. I'll pause here for a second. All right, let's bring it up. Now I'm going to, that's everything that I have from Ukraine. So we've covered Israel tonight, we covered Ukraine, but I had 2 more videos. I normally only have 1 more video for you, but I have 2 more. I'm going to give you one from Funker, from Funker, the guy. I'm not Funker. I work at Funker with a bunch of, I shouldn't say a bunch. There are, 6 of us, right? But I'm going to give you one from his personal hard drive, which we did post on our Twitter. So you would have already seen this if you're following over there. But it's a pretty funny little video. We'll come back, and then I'll give you one more on the way out the door. Here's some context. Well, watch the video first.
Still are running toward it. All right, you need to have a stepping stone. No. Why don't you launch off that stone right there?
For those of you familiar, that guy right there is FPS Russia.
Why don't you launch off that stone right there?
The guy driving this vehicle is Funker.
He broke the windshield. I'm good.
This was years ago. The plan was for FPS Russia to run across the top of the vehicle, movie style. Well, that didn't work very well. Here's the rest of the video.
That was the weirdest feeling in the world. Like, holy shit, I'm about to hit someone with a car.
You just ran Kyle over. I mean, how does that feel?
And that's Iraq veteran 8888. You guys would probably recognize him. There's Funker.
That's a good tweet. I just ran
A very young Funker.
it hurts.
Hey, are you gonna be?
Anyway, he thought that one would be an interesting one to share with you guys. But I have one last video, and it's a classic. This one I think I put on my personal Twitter. This is the one that I'll leave you with tonight. And it gets me every time I watch it. But I'm out of here. I need to check on the support before I show you guys this. So, and for life, thank you for the $5. Hit that like button. Please do. It's a free way to support the stream. Drop a comment in the chat. Also free. This stream is free. 100%. Please do not feel the need to send in a couple dollars. When you do, we appreciate it very much because, again, we're 6 dudes and, just trying to put a little bit of understanding of war back in the world. So if you'd like to support that, we appreciate you for it. So thank you very much for that 5. Mad Scotsman, thank you for the 627. Brian, thank you for the $1.99. You talked to Civdiv, an American fighter in Ukraine. We've had Civdiv here on the show before. Stefan, thank you for the 268. Following from the Netherlands. Love the channel. I love you. Welcome to Costco. Jonathan, thank you for the $5. Still remember stories from my grandfather, World War II, just a senseless death that occurs in war. War never changes. Thank you. Member, welcome to Costco. What did I start with the Costco thing? Thank you very much for that. Stefan, thank you for the 268 before that. And here is what I leave you with. I'll be stepping over to the other stream where we'll kick back, play some games, maybe try and decompress a little bit. If you want to join me, the chat's going to automatically redirect you over there. It'll prompt you. Here's your last video, and chill, bro.
Don't tense up, man. Don't tense up, man. Where you going?
Settle down, bud.
Don't tense up, man. Don't tense up, man. Where you going?
Settle down, bud.
Settle down, bud. Good night.